This story is about the 6 Witches of Capiz by Paula C. Melee, WWM, March 8, 1957, p3. Once there lived a widow with 6 pretty daughters. The mother gave feast after feast to draw suitable suitors to her daughters. Attracted by the dazzling beauty of the girls, rich young men came to their house. They were lavishly entertained, and invariably they fell madly in love with the girls. But since the widow's house was in an isolated place near the mountains, they always asked their guests to stay for the night. The house was large and comfortable. Overnight, guests were given a room each, with his own key. In the mornings, however, the guests found themselves robbed of their jewels and gold. Nobody could explain how this happened since the rooms were securely locked. Rumors began to get around that the widow and her daughters were witches, and year after year, the girls remain unmarried. In a neighboring town lived 6 brothers. Their parents had died, leaving them a considerable fortune which allowed them to live comfortably without working. Only the youngest was hardworking and adventurous. He wanted to look into the mysterious, ostensibly to pay court to the pretty daughters. They were entertained most warmly, and the brothers agreed that there were no girls more charming than their hostesses. When it was time to retire, the youngest one wanted his brothers to be on the alert. For his signal, he intended to keep watch to find out what transpired during the night in that house. The moon was at its fullest, and outside, it was almost as light as day. As he lay in his room keeping his eyes and ears wide open, the youngest one heard some strange stirrings in the quarter next to his. He peered out of his window and saw some blackbirds flying away from the house. He altered his brothers, and when they all looked out of their windows, they saw 6 blackbirds silhouetted against the moonlight and flying in the direction of a nearby mountain. He told them of the strange sounds, and together they forced open the room where he heard them come. The brothers stood as if petrified. On 6 beds lay 6 headless corpses, 1 to each bed. Recovering from the shock, the youngest one dashed to the kitchen to get ashes. He had heard stories about witches, and thinking that they were dealing with these creatures themselves, he would use the only known antidote against them, ashes. He sprinkled this on the severed necks. Then the 6 blackbirds flew in through the window and alighted each on a headless corpses. The birds tried to reunite with the corpses through the gaping neck, but the ashes prevented them from doing so. They broke into an eerie chorus of wails and laments. They reviled the brothers whose presence they had discovered by then. They vowed the most horrible, pretty women the better to attract rich suitors whom they could rob, leaving behind the house where out-of-this-world cries continued to pierce the night. The brothers hied to the mountain from which they had seen the blackbirds come. They came upon a hoard of gold and jewels, surely the loot of the witches. From their earthly suitors, the brothers hauled the riches to town and gave them back to their owners. The irate people organized a group that swooped down on the witch's house and burned it. They heard again the eerie wails. The witches could not reunite with their corporeal bodies, and neither could they escape. Because of the ashes, they all burned to death, and from then on, Capiz was free from these evil mananangals, witches who could sever their heads from their bodies. Their heads flew about at night as blackbirds, preying on their hapless victims. So that's our story, guys, about witches who detach their heads and turn into blackbirds, which fly away into the night. Detached heads of witches cannot rejoin bodies when ashes are strewn. Uncut portion of bodies. Beautiful witches steal from their rich suitors, witches burned. So that's our vlog for now, guys. Hope the story entertained you. Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe. And see you on our next vlog.